Hi. It's been a really long time. I hope the last month or so has been okay for you. It's pretty miserably hot where I am right now. I've been spending a lot of time trying to stay cool and adjusting to new developments at work. Things are starting to smooth out, but it's taken a lot of effort. This video, the footage that you're seeing now, is actually more than a month old. I kept putting off writing a script and recording the audio because, well, I guess my cats are noisy. They seem to always want to start singing the songs of their people right when I'm needing them to be quiet. And audio continues to be difficult for me to edit and piece out properly. I'm also still quite self-conscious of my own voice and my own recording abilities. I keep hoping that'll lessen with time, but it hasn't. So I decided to finally just try and see how it goes. I'm so happy that Hobonichi finally decided to release the Avec in parts. I've been using my Hobonichi notebook pretty faithfully for the last few months, but drawing in the outlines by hand every week, every day, has definitely gotten frustrating. Having the Avec being released in parts also really helps spread out the total cost of the book, and has helped me feel a bit better about trying it out and seeing if I actually want to stick with it rather than sinking costs into something that may or may not work for me in the end. So far, it's been working quite well, and I've enjoyed it a lot. I've transferred all of my appointments and things over into that new book. That's what all of this footage is. Right now I'm flipping through the weekly calendar pages, just really enjoying the fact that I'm not going to have to draw these in at least until December, and assessing what colors the palette is for July, I think is what's happening. Something that I didn't realize about the Cousin for the daily pages is that they have a timeline on the left side of each page. It's condensed, so it's not one line for each hour, or however it is in the regular sized, the original Hobonichi. It takes up about 70% of the page vertically and is a little less than half horizontally. I really liked this feature. It makes it so that I can see the schedule at a glance and still have tons of room on the right and on the bottom for notes or drawing or ephemera. I do wish that the covers of the Avec weren't that light blue and orange-yellow cover for the first half of the year, but it is what it is. I found this really cute clear cover at the stationery store where I bought my book. It wasn't made for the Hobonichi, and I was a bit nervous that it wasn't going to fit, but it's absolutely perfect, and it's got these little gold animals on the inside flaps of the cover. That really is what sold me on them. Also, if anyone has any idea what the little flap thing is on the inside front cover, please let me know. The casing around the cover and the little information paper that came with it basically just say, it's a flap, and that's obviously not helpful in terms of an explanation. I think it would work as a sort of makeshift little folder for loose papers, but probably just like one single piece of paper, since it doesn't have a bottom. Initially, I thought it was a pen holder, but it's not a loop, it's just a flap. So if you have any ideas, please let me know. It would help me out a lot. I picked up these postcards as well. Some of them I picked for myself, and I decided to have a couple of them be used as decoration for the covers of my book, but some of them are for the postcard club, the Pen Pal Club, on my Patreon. I have not been as dutiful as I should be in getting my patrons their postcards this month, or I guess it would be last month, but those are getting put into the post box today. So one of these postcards may be coming to your mailbox if you have subscribed over on the Patreon. I did end up deciding to keep this postcard with the cats and the storefront for myself, it really spoke to my heart when I was out shopping. I think probably because it's something like what I would draw. And in fact, I have a tiny little painting that I'm working on. It's probably about 3 centimeters that showcases just a little shrine that I walk by every day when I'm walking home. And I am still just so frustrated that this postcard is not quite going to fit horizontally, like directly across the front of the book. I do end up moving it around so that way it is positioned portrait rather than landscape. And that's a little unfortunate because if it had fit landscape, I probably could have stacked 2 postcards on top of each other and had that been a replacement for the blue of the cover. But it is what it is, and I haven't minded it so far. I've been using it for about a week and some change now that it's about the 8th of July. But I do still think that it's a shame that it didn't quite fit properly. Of course you've seen it, you've been looking at this screen for a while, but you can notice that I do have a fountain pen. A few months back, I was over in, I think it was the stationery Reddit, and was chatting with some people about fountain pens and how I couldn't see myself using them because of the mess and the steps involved and the upkeep and such and such and such. I actually have 2 fountain pens. I have one that was gifted to me by a dear friend many years ago. And then I have this one as well. The one that was gifted to me is quite fancy and I'm a little nervous using it. So that's why I've got this white one that I picked up. It was at the same stationery store that I picked up my cousin. And it's a collaboration with, I think it's Mizutama is the artist. And I've always liked their work. And so it was quite serendipitous that they had this pen with ink all in a set and ready to go just at the same place that I already was. I couldn't resist it, basically. I've been trying it out for a little while. I do like it a lot. I think the only thing that is still difficult for me is, again, it's the mess. It's the mess of the ink. And I've been trying to get myself used to it. I have a little cloth that I keep at my table that I use when I'm switching out the inks and refilling it and this and that, but I am clumsy, and so things inevitably get messy no matter what I do. So that is why I am still using my ball pens as well. I also just really like my ball pens. I think that they write really clearly. I like the ease of being able to switch between colors, even though I only use 1 color or 2 at a time at the most. But I'm slowly getting myself used to the fountain pen, and I think what I might do is I might swap out the ink that's currently in it. I think the brown is what is in it right now. I think I will switch it out for blue, and I'll start using the fountain pen instead of my ballpoint pen for the rest of July and see how that goes. I will keep you posted. Basically, what I'm doing in this video is I'm just migrating over events from my weeks into my cousin. I'm not going to stop using my weeks. In fact, I've continued to use it pretty faithfully as I've started in my cousin as well. The benefit of having the weeks is that it's so portable and so small that it has become a lifesaver for my work events and for bringing around with me when I go places. I don't necessarily need an Avec page worth of information for my day as I go about it and while I'm running around and having to transfer trains and this and that. So having the weeks available to have appointments and a space to ride in has been more than plenty. It just means that the weeks it's become less decorated and more practical, as the last week or so has proved. And my Cousin has become more of the memory keeping, logging, drawing, journaling type of place that I have been using the weeks for up to this point. I don't regret getting the weeks or the notebook at all. In fact, I'm quite thankful that I had the weeks because it kind of cemented in my brain that I did want to have a practice of journaling and writing things down. The notebook proved that I did want the space of the Avec, and now that I have the Avec, I'm still so pleased as punch that I tried everything else out first, that I didn't just leap into the Avec and end up abandoning it partway through. I'm not sure entirely what I'm going to do with the rest of the notebook. I may keep it just as a general sketchbook. It is beautiful and I love it. Or depending on how things go, I don't know. I was toying with the idea of getting the actual year-long cousin, or maybe like a cousin hon, a cousin hardcover next year, and starting with April. And so if that would be the case, maybe I would be using the notebook for the first 4 months of the year, but I haven't quite thought that far ahead yet. I think I need to do at least a few more months in the Avec before I make any final decisions. As I mentioned, I bought the Avec pretty much the day that it was announced that it would be released in stores. I was on my way home from work and very purposefully went a way home that would take me by one of the stationery stores that stocks the Hobonichis, and picked one up and brought myself home, transferred my things over, and I kind of sat here for a minute struggling because I wanted to be doing more work in the book and wanting to do more writing, but I didn't have any pages because it was still June. So what I ended up doing is I ended up pulling out my notebook again, the Hobonichi notebook, and I set up a couple of days to try and see how I wanted to start using the daily pages, how I thought a good setup would look, and how I wanted to try and process my thoughts for the upcoming month. Something that I definitely wanted to prioritize in my Avec was utilizing the top to-do space. I think that's very useful. I'm very excited to have the time blocking space on the left, but I also want to prioritize drawing, prioritize even just doodling little sketches, anything, at least every spread, so every 2 days in the book, or posting in like receipts or things that I think are pretty. help kind of inspire me into drawing a little bit more, I went to the secondhand bookstore relatively nearby, and I found this book. This is written, illustrated by the artist who does the cover art for Asian Kung Fu Generation and a couple of novels that I enjoy reading. And I've always really loved their work. So seeing this at the secondhand store was absolutely incredible for me. Best day, especially because buying these books brand new are quite expensive. So going through here and looking for a little bit of inspiration, I ended up settling on a picture that I liked, that I thought would be doable without overwhelming, just to kind of practice drawing a little bit, kind of practice putting a picture, putting some kind of inspiration into my pages. I didn't want to copy the drawing exactly. There's definitely a time and space for practicing exactly what you see, for teaching yourself how to draw, and for teaching yourself perspectives and things. But this was more just for fun for me, more just for trying to get myself back into the habit of it. I really liked this piece just because I've got a soft spot in my heart for stars, for coffee cups, for kind of people watching, I guess. And this had all of that in one go. Plus, it had a good profile. Had a good profile of like hands and arms and body postures and things. The last little bit that I wanted to try and emphasize while I'm in my book is adding in quotes or things that I find inspiring. Even just adding in like astrological, inspirational nonsense, I think, is a good way to get a little bit more introspective. What I've got in here, when I was writing this, I had just finished listening to Ali Abdaal's book. What is it? It's like Positive Productivity, something along those lines. Anyway, everyone knows Ali Abdaal. I had just finished listening to his audiobook, and one of the things that stuck with me was his quote of, "What would this look like if it were fun?" And I've been trying really hard in the last month to put that into my brain whenever I've had to do something that is difficult for me. So even as I'm recording this right now, I am thinking, oh, what would this look like if it were fun? And I've got like a cup of tea and a snack waiting for me once I finish recording all of this and putting everything together. So I added that into the page, and I can say that in the Avec, as I've gone through the last week or so, I have been keeping little quotes, little journaling prompts in the pages, and it's been very helpful in trying to get myself motivated to write more. I am still working through the book. I think it is going well. I will try to keep everyone updated a little bit sooner than what I've been doing. And thank you for watching. Thank you for hanging out with me. Thank you for listening to me rant about books and about my weird little notebooks. I look forward. Well, maybe not. Maybe I don't look forward to it. I will continue to try because I think talking aloud like this is good for me. And I will try again next week and next week and next week. And maybe over time, this will become, even the recording will become something more fun. Thanks for hanging out with me. I'll see you again soon. Bye for now.